For by him all things were created that are in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him. Colossians 1 verse 16. When we think of angels, many of us imagine celestial messengers of light, present at important moments in biblical history. However, the heavenly realm is far more complex and organized. There is a well-defined hierarchy among the angels, a spiritual order that influences both the physical and spiritual world. These celestial beings dwell in the three heavens described in the scriptures, and each has a clear function. From those closest to the throne of God, worshiping him incessantly, to those who fight in spiritual battles, all play essential roles in the divine plan. They are not just messengers but also warriors, guardians, and counselors. Throughout this guide, we will explore the hierarchical structure of angels, their specific roles in the three heavens, and how this spiritual organization directly reflects on our daily lives. By the end, you will see that these beings have a profound influence on our lives, even if it is often invisible to the naked eye. The hierarchy of angels is an ancient idea that has fascinated theologians and scholars for centuries. Contrary to the simplified view that angels are just messengers, the scriptures reveal that these beings perform multiple roles within a strict order. The Apostle Paul refers to this hierarchy in Colossians 1 verse 16, mentioning thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers. This passage shows us that the spiritual world is structured and organized. Paul also mentions the spiritual battles that occur in heavenly places, as in Ephesians 6 verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. The reference gives us a clue that there is a level of spiritual organization beyond what we can see. In this system, each angel has a vital role that reflects their position in the hierarchy and their closeness to God. The organization of angels is also related to the three heavens mentioned by Paul in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 2, where he reports being caught up to the third heaven. The common interpretation is that the first heaven refers to the firmament, the second is the spiritual space where battles between good and evil forces occur, and the third heaven is the dwelling place of God. In the three heavens, angels have distinct roles, reflecting their proximity to God and their responsibilities. For example, the seraphim, who are in the highest hierarchical level, inhabit the third heaven, where God is enthroned, and their main task is to worship him incessantly. In the first and second heavens, we find angels of orders such as archangels and principalities, who directly interact with the physical world, often fighting on God's behalf against evil forces. The seraphim, the highest-ranking angels, are guardians of holiness and dwell in the third heaven, closest to the throne of God. They are described as fiery beings, whose name means the burning ones or the ones who burn, reflecting their intense nature of worship and devotion. Isaiah 6 verses 1 to 3 presents one of the most vivid descriptions of these celestial beings. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another, saying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The wings covering their faces are a sign of reverence to God's glory, while the wings covering their feet represent humility. The wings they use to fly symbolize readiness and diligence in serving the Lord. The seraphim's role is not limited to worship. They also protect the holiness of God's throne, ensuring that nothing impure approaches His glory. Isaiah's vision reveals an important moment of purification when one of the seraphim touches the prophet's lips with a live coal, purifying him of his sins. This reminds us that a spiritual transformation is necessary to stand in God's presence. Although the seraphim rarely interact directly with earth, their example teaches us the importance of constant worship and the pursuit of holiness. Even though we are not physically in the heavenly throne room, we can learn from them to approach God with humility and reverence. The cherubim, another high-ranking order of angels, are often seen as protectors of God's glory. Their primary function is to protect sacred places and ensure that divine holiness remains inviolate. One of the first appearances of the cherubim in the Bible is in Genesis 3 verse 24, when God places them at the entrance of the Garden of Eden, after Adam and Eve's fall, to guard the way to the tree of life with a flaming sword. The cherubim also play an important role in the tabernacle and Solomon's temple, where their images were present over the Ark of the Covenant, representing their constant vigilance over God's presence. In Ezekiel 10, these beings are described with 4 faces, of a man, lion, ox, and eagle, and full of eyes, symbolizing their ability to see in all directions and their connection with divine power. The cherubim's role in the 3 heavens also reveals their protective presence, both in the physical and spiritual world. In the first heaven, they guard sacred places on earth. In the second heaven, they are involved in spiritual battles. And in the third heaven, they surround God's throne. The cherubim teach us the importance of guarding and protecting what is sacred in our lives. This can translate into preserving our faith, values, and spiritual principles in a world where the sacred is often devalued. The thrones are angels whose primary role is to serve as divine counselors, acting in the second heaven to convey God's will to lower angelic orders. They are bearers of divine justice and are responsible for ensuring that spiritual balance is maintained across all spheres of the universe. In Colossians 1 verse 16, Paul mentions thrones as an essential part of the celestial creation, suggesting that their function is crucial for the administration of the cosmos. They are directly involved in the application of God's justice, channeling His decrees and promoting peace and harmony among spiritual forces. Thrones also act as intermediaries between God and the lower angelic orders. Their role extends beyond battle. They ensure that creation follows the divine plan. Reflecting on their role reminds us that justice and harmony are essential not only in heaven, but also in our earthly lives. Dominions, virtues, and powers are angelic orders that exercise significant authority over spiritual and earthly forces. They ensure that the divine plan continues to unfold, acting both in the first and second heavens. The dominions oversee the lower angelic orders and are responsible for coordinating their actions. They lead the heavenly army and ensure that the tasks assigned by God are fulfilled. Their leadership role is vital to the celestial order. The virtues have a role more connected to the physical world. They are responsible for channeling God's power on earth, acting in miracles and supernatural events. Although rarely mentioned, the virtues are seen as those who bring God's power into practical and visible form. The powers are directly involved in spiritual warfare. Their role is to restrain evil, ensuring that demonic forces do not exceed the limits permitted by God. Their work is described in passages like Ephesians 6 verse 12, where Paul speaks of battles against principalities and powers. They ensure that God's justice prevails, even amidst spiritual opposition. These three angelic orders not only maintain cosmic order, but also directly influence the physical world, showing that spiritual battles have a direct impact on our everyday lives. Principalities and archangels are the leaders in spiritual warfare. Principalities oversee regions and nations, influencing historical events and governmental decisions. Although their actions are often invisible, they work constantly to ensure that God's plan unfolds as intended. Archangels, on the other hand, are directly involved in the most intense battles. Archangel Michael, in particular, is described as the leader of heavenly forces in Revelation 12 verses 7 to 9, where he fights against the dragon and his angels. Michael also appears in Daniel 10 verse 13, where he assists the angel Gabriel in a spiritual battle against the prince of the kingdom of Persia. Another important archangel is Gabriel, who acts as a divine messenger. He appears in Luke 1 verses 26 to 28, announcing to Mary that she would give birth to Jesus. Gabriel is not only a bearer of good news, but also someone sent at crucial moments to ensure that God's message is understood and accepted. The principalities and archangels play a crucial role in defending divine justice and confronting evil forces. They teach us about courage and steadfastness in the face of spiritual challenges. Angels perform different roles in the three heavens. In the first heaven, they interact directly with the physical world, protecting and guiding humanity. In the second heaven, they are on the front lines of spiritual battle, fighting against the forces of evil. And in the third heaven, the highest-ranking angels worship and protect the throne of God. Each heaven reflects a facet of God's creation and the role of angels in maintaining the balance between the spiritual and the physical. Through these roles, we see that angels, though invisible, have a profound impact on our lives and the world. The journey through the three heavens and the angelic hierarchy reveals an organized celestial realm where every angel, from the highest seraphim to the archangels, plays a crucial role in God's plan. These celestial beings, although invisible, influence our lives in ways we often do not realize. Spiritual warfare is real, and the angels show us that, just like them, we have a role to play in God's divine plan. We must strive to live with purpose, faith, and courage, knowing that, just as Archangel Michael leads the forces of good, we too can trust in God's protection in our daily battles. Now, think about the spiritual struggles you've been facing. Are you ready to face these challenges with faith? Like the angels, we are called to live with discipline and confidence in the purpose God has for us. If you enjoyed this content, leave your comment below and share your reflections on how angels and the celestial hierarchy influence your life. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to continue learning more about the spiritual mysteries that shape our reality.